Hello, it's Duncan Nisbet, the roving reporter for Let's Test, here today with Erik Davis. How are you doing, Erik?
Good. How are you doing?
Very good, thank you. Very good. I want to thank you for your time today. I appreciate you're very busy.
No problem.
That's all good. So I've been looking through your profiles and I see that you've got yourself onto several boards of
Yep.
several testing groups. Do you want to talk to us a bit about that? How you got into that? So, I mean, previously you said you've been testing for 16 years, or around testing for 16 years.
hmm
How did you come to be from testing into the boards, and was there a natural progression, or was there just something that came out of the blue?
It kind of came out of the blue. So I was a pretty like heads down, heads in the sand tester or test leader manager for a number of years until 2012 when I went to my first CAST conference, and that kind of woke me up, and I realized, wow, there's all these things I don't know, and I know nothing, and I've been at this for years. And so the progression, I guess it was a natural progression, but it's only been over the past like 2.5 years. So in trying to get involved in the community at large and just trying to do more things for the people that I work with and people in my area, I first got involved with NOSQA, which is the Northern Ohio Software Quality Assurance Association, which is a local group here in Ohio that brings speakers in, and we have like networking time and usually some kind of food, and then we have a speaker. Like we had Lisa Crispin in last month. We've got Martin Hine coming in 2 days.
Nice.
From Canada. We've had who else did we have? We had James Bach out. We have a number of people. Some are like well known, and a lot of local people, and just others that may or may not heard of. But in participating in that, I went to a lot of the sessions, and then at one point somebody said, "Hey, do you want to like be in the program committee? You know people." And I didn't know what I was getting into, so I said, "Sure." About 3 months later, they made me the program chair, which basically meant that I called the meeting last summer that said, "Hey, let's figure out who we want to have talk this year." And we figured almost all of it out over dinner, and then kind of not had to do a ton since then. It's a really easy gig, I figured out. Just sit down and say, okay, we want to have all these speakers, and then assign people to go talk to them. And as long as they don't say no, then, it's pick dates and get people to want to have 30 testers come and sit in a room and listen to somebody talk. Last summer, I don't remember exactly how the whole thing about the idea of joining the AST board came to me. I kind of thought about it in 2013 just because I knew the election was going on and I was at CAST, and I just thought, I wonder what it's like to be on the board. I don't know. And then prior to the 2014 election, I had several people say, "Hey, if you thought about this, you could maybe be good at it." And I don't know why they thought that. They didn't really say, but they said, "Hey, you sometimes seem to get things done, and we don't hate you." So
Very flattering.
yeah, it's good. I'm not despised, apparently, at least not by people who are trying to, find board members for the AST. So I got on the board. I ran. It's not really running. I voted my interest in being an executive at large, so I'm on the executive committee. So I'm on the general board, but then everybody this time again on the AST board is also an executive, so nobody really gets cut out of the executive meetings because that's how technically it works, but everybody is in all the meetings. So we just all decided to be a thing. So that's been a really interesting experience. I've been learning a lot right now about like putting together a program for a conference, because I'm also on the program committee for the CAST conference, which it's a lot.
I bet.
Which, anybody who's been involved in a conference gets it, and they're probably just going, yeah, okay, whatever. But I've not done this before, and it's huge. So,
yeah, I get the impression that from the people who do it. I've never actually kind of witnessed it firsthand.
Yeah.
I mean, this is probably the closest I've been to helping out with conference organising. Like the Let's Test guys, and I just see what they get involved in and how busy they are.
Yeah.
But the rest of it is just kind of this slick show. You go, you turn up, you get wowed, and then you leave, and then you go, "Oh Christ, what have I learned?"
People don't know, and like I'll say things like, like, why can't we just have put a table out here? And I'm like, I know why. At other conferences, they're like, I know what it probably costs to have that table there with linens and a plug strip, because yes, you have to pay for the plug strip. Or they're like, why is there no coffee at 2:00? I'm like, I can tell you why. I know what they did in their contract, and which 4 months ago I had no clue. So It's definitely an interesting experience that if you're up for it, I'd say anybody should try. I haven't been turned off from it yet, so I'm willing to participate in it again. We're not done yet, though, so I got to see where we're at in about 3 months.
Right. Okay. So does it cut into your personal time much? I know that's a really loaded question. So how do you balance the time between doing your day job, between the conference organising, and actually spending time with people you actually want to spend time with?
Sure. I think the biggest part of it is not being the program chair for like the conference, and not being the conference chair is a lot easier. Because basically it's, hey, okay, we put out a CFP, now we're just waiting for stuff to come in, and then it's, hey, sit down in your free time and review them all. That I can do when my kids are asleep, or I can do, my employer is very open, they're excited that I'm on, the board of AST and on the board of NASQA. So they allow me to spend some amount of time on things like that at work, so I can even do that while I'm on the clock, which is nice because I don't have to go home and, do it hours and hours at night. So I think the easiest part is not taking on one of the giant jobs. If I had one of those, it would be a lot harder. But
what's an example of a giant job?
Well, I think being the conference chair or the program chair. I think conference chair is bigger because they're the ones who go out and find a facility, and they do all of the negotiation with contracts, and they're figuring out all the stuff on like hotel blocks and food options, and what happens if we want to bring in more people than we have, and oh no, we need to add another one of these sessions, but we don't have a room. I got to go back and talk to the room people about booking a room that we weren't supposed to. Like all of that stuff,
right? Yeah,
is a whole level or two beyond where I'm at for picks and proposals. So
yeah, I think I've had my taste of that. So with the Agile 2014 and Agile 2015 submissions, I've been helping out reviews, not so much with this year because I've been just snowed. But yeah, that's a really interesting experience into kind of like how you pick the stuff like how you decide what people are going to come and pay money to see.
Yes.
And you start seeing the kind of decisions being thrown on there, like really? That one's being kicked out? I love that one. I was like, no, it's not all about me, unfortunately.
Yep. Yeah.
So making that juggle. So you're also on the ISST.
Yes.
Along with my good self. How you getting on with that? Are you doing much with it?
I haven't done a ton. I'm really behind on the Skype group that they have for members.
Yeah.
I've been participating in that more, and then I don't even remember something happened like a month and a half ago, and I got behind, and I keep seeing the running total of new messages in Skype, and it's demoralizing. So I need to just jump to the current and get caught back up, or not even get caught back up, just skip and stay where we are now. Because there's a lot of good content in there, and I had several good discussions in there with people, and I really liked participating in that. I just need to get back into it.
Yeah.
Just had more work, like actual work at work stuff going on lately, so it's been kind of a problem. But
that Skype chat is a fantastic place, isn't it, to hang out and just, I don't know, I think there was one chat between some guys in there, and from that my syllabus of learning testing just exploded. I was like, oh God.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good stuff that's dropped in there, so I need to get back in and see where we're at.
That's it. Yeah, I have to confess I'm a bit of a lurker at the moment. I'm kind of just seeing what's going on. I haven't got much to add. So it's a bit of a one-way ticket for me. I'm take. So hopefully soon I'll be able to start putting back in.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so we're here to talk about Let's Test, and you're doing a session called Effective Practice Manager.
Yes.
So without giving too much away, do you want to talk about a bit how you're thinking it's going to pan out?
Well, I'm not real sure. I'm going to see. I'm interested in doing the talk. I learned my lesson last year. I actually submitted 4 talks to Let's Test, which was stupid. And they didn't like any of them. So I learned not to just submit a bunch of junk. So I sent one in, and they obviously liked it enough or we wouldn't be here talking. But I want to have a discussion, a conversation with anybody who's willing to go to my session about what it means to be an effective practice manager. This is, by the way, not my title. I forgot to come up with a title for it. And Johan, I think, or someone just called it that because they're like, oh, we'll figure something out. And then I realized that the program was out and that's what it was called. I was like, oh, hopefully maybe this interview is a good place for like to tell everybody I can't tell you how to be an effective practice manager. So if you're looking for a checklist of do these things and you'll be effective at being a practice manager, don't bother. There's several other really good sessions that you should go to, but not mine.
So what would your definition of a practice manager be, or what's the abstraction?
So what I'm trying to do, what I see a practice manager being is the person responsible for how the testing gets done. So they're managing like how the testing is approached, not necessarily managing the actual testers.
Okay.
So that's how I started. And that was my quick description of what my position was at the beginning. And I said, I'm trying to manage our testing, not our testers. And then somebody proposed the idea of an automation team, and my boss said, great, but we're giving it to Erik. So I can't actually say I manage no testers because now I manage our automation team and our overall testing effort within the department. So,
right, okay.
I'm trying to.
It's a steep learning curve?
It is. I kind of made up the role out of thin air. My VP said, sounds good. I came up with some ideas of stuff I wanted to try to do, but I didn't really know how to do them. So, I want to get involved in like reviewing how because we have, actually we're a little over 200 testers now in our department.
Wow.
So I don't know everybody really well. Some of them I don't know at all. I don't know how they're doing their testing. I mean, I've been here for 12 years, and we're hiring people in all the time. So every month we're adding new testers into our department. So I don't know how all of those groups are approaching all their testing, and I need to figure out how to get that information myself so that I can offer feedback to them or feedback to the teams on how they could potentially do better testing on the parts of the product that they're responsible for.
Wow, okay, so that sounds like a mighty challenge.
Yeah, it is.
So how long have you been doing that role for now then?
Almost a year. It'll be a year by Let's Test.
Of course, yeah. Oh, wow, okay. So it feels like it's going to be like a bit of a retrospective.
Kind of. It's things I've tried to do so far, things I haven't figured out how to do. Things maybe if you're going to try something like this you don't want to do. I tend to take on a lot of stuff. Like people say, this is cool. We want someone to do it. Do you want to do it? And many times I'll just say, yeah, because it's a good idea and I don't want it to die. So, but like last year when they said I was going to spin up an automation team, I said, I don't know anything about automation. And they said, that's fine. We don't either. So I spent, 5 months of last year figuring out what we should try to do, at least like at my level being the manager of the team, what we needed to do for automation, talk to some of our developers who had an interest to figure out how to do the interviews, actually perform the interviews, select people, get them off of their old teams onto my team, upgrade their hardware, get them into training. So like I haven't done a lot of what like my job is because I spent like the last 5 months getting an automation team up and running.
Right.
So
that wouldn't normally be part of your role. That's you say you're making up your own role, creating an automation team. Wouldn't be part of that.
It wasn't at the beginning. No, I knew that I was taking on our internal education team that puts together all of the training that we do in house for our testers.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, that fits in with what I'm going to need to do because I've never built a class before and I'm going to need to educate people on stuff. And if I have the educating people like reporting to me, it'll be easy because I can just say, hey, how do I do this? And they can help me.
Yes, yeah. Make life easier.
Yes.
Yeah. So so it sounds like the session's going to be quite tough. I think it's going to be like kind of your heart on your sleeve kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was easier to submit because it was just like really quick and I could just write down a paragraph and go, this is going to be kind of hard. Go, and then they accepted it, and then I was like, oh, okay, now I got to put more together. And I've been thinking about this since they accepted it, on like what I want to have in it, and I've got some ideas and things. I don't have the entire thing like plotted out and PowerPointed and everything. I don't even know if I'm going to do a PowerPoint yet, but that's kind of how I work with talks. Is I don't want to submit something and have nothing. So I had an idea of the direction I wanted to go.
Yeah.
And now that they've accepted, I need to get it all put together and, but I want to include things that are happening between now and Let's Test. So it's, hey, if I magically get better and awesome and I figure out how to do my job, then I'll say, hey, I spent, 11 months having no clue and then I figured it out, 4 weeks ago. I don't know that that's going to happen, but it could. You don't know.
You could have some like real-time feedback in the session, and you could just say, "I'm just going to send that as an email."
Yeah, there we go.
Let me just tweet that.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Okay, and so you mentally prepared for the feedback you're going to get?
I don't know. I'm not real sure. I really like getting feedback whenever I can. I found that if I don't get feedback on things that I'm doing, if it's something that I'm doing that's good, that I don't get feedback saying, hey, that's good, you should keep doing it, I tend to not do it anymore.
Okay.
I need some kind of feedback, and if I'm going in the wrong direction, I'd rather have somebody say, hey, that's stupid, go this way, than just, blindly go in the direction I'm going and have no clue that it's not right. So it's not always easy to take, but I definitely want feedback.
Definitely, yeah, I agree with you there. But it's some feedback you get just doesn't work. Like, what did I get the other week? You're trying too hard. Oh. And I'm like, that's really, really helpful for offering that without asking me. But what do you actually mean, and what do I do with that?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that just requires more questions. I don't know what to do with that either.
I blew up. It was on a course. And so over the lunchtime, I just took her for a coffee and just said, right, what do you mean by that statement? And just reeled off all these questions that it fired off.
Yeah.
So again, some people are good at giving feedback and other people need a bit more training, I guess.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's test itself. You've been a couple of years.
Actually, this is my second. I went last year for the first time.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What did you think?
I really, really liked it, which is part of why I'm submitting to go back.
Of course, yeah.
It was a really different conference. It has a different feel, I think, in that it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere and people can't really go anywhere. But it's got a communal almost feel, because like everybody, you have to all eat together. I mean, unless I guess you bring your own stuff because there's nowhere to go. Everybody is together for everything all the time. So when the conference stuff is over at the end of the night, whether there's an official thing going on or not, pretty much everybody's just hanging out there because there is nowhere to go. Which I like, because you don't get the splintering of people off into I mean, you still get people separating into groups, but the groups are maybe 15 feet apart, so it's easy to move from one to another, throughout the day. Whereas at some conferences, once the conference day is over, people start going to their own little bars, and it's, if you happen to know the right person or you saw their tweet on Twitter, then you know where to go to hang out with that group. And, sometimes groups end up, colliding at a restaurant or something, but a lot of times they're completely separate until the next day.
So you keep the cliques?
Yeah. So I think there's a lot less of that. Or if it exists at Let's Test, but it's a lot, the edges are a lot softer because all of the cliques are there's 3 rooms. So you have 9 cliques in a room and you just bump into each other all the time.
Yeah. As I do find it great for speaking to people that I don't normally speak to.
Yes.
And everyone's up for that, aren't they? Everyone's aware that, well, not aware, just you don't find anyone who's like, don't speak to me.
No.
I don't know you. What's your Twitter handle?
Yeah.
It's I remember the first one I went in and just sat down and started chatting to I think Scott Barber.
Okay.
I just completely invaded their conversation and felt bad for about 5 seconds, but they welcomed me in with open arms. It's like
Yeah. I didn't find anybody last year who was weird about having anybody talk to them. They all seemed really open, and I more than half the people there I'd not known at all, because I'd only ever been to conferences in the U.S. and some you get some transfers over from England and Europe, but it was completely different being one of the few Americans over there, where it's everybody was just really cool and open, and I really, really liked the experience.
Oh, fantastic. I learned a term the other day. Was it your courses and conferences, you're either a prisoner, a passenger, or a participant?
Yeah.
So you're sent there because your work has sent you there. You're a prisoner. You're a passenger because you want to get a few days off. Mm-hmm. Or you're a participant and you're actually there engaging. And I think Let's Test is, I see everyone as a participant. Certainly there's no prisoners.
Yeah, I think you'd get called out if you were just, there to just be there.
Yes, yeah.
Somebody would notice and come over and poke you for it. So
That's it. Yeah, my boss has sent me. Oh, really? Right, okay. Fantastic. Right. Okay, so is there anything else you'd like to talk about while you got me?
I don't even know. I likely will not have weird hair this year.
What was that about?
So last year I volunteered to be a facilitator, even though I'd never done it before.
Yeah.
For Let's Test. So like my first round of facilitating anything ever at a conference was at Let's Test, which, I figure, hey, sure, why not?
Yeah.
And in the emails about facilitators, it might have been Illyry, somebody mentioned that, the facilitators, it's a, as a group was, kind of hard to manage, like a bunch of rock stars. And I like joked something like, hey, for rock stars, maybe I should like dye my hair. And then somebody got really excited. And I said, well, okay, I guess I can. It's not that expensive and it's not that permanent. Sure. So I did it basically because I'm like, well, people got really excited online when I said maybe I'll dye my hair orange. And I was like, well, okay. So I did that, and lots of people liked it there. And I think Keith Klein turned it into a meme. He's got a whole like photo thing of Erik is not pleased with apparently really intensely staring at the speaker during one of the keynotes, and I looked displeased. I really don't think I was, but
it's just deep in thought.
Yeah. So, month or so after the conference last year, basically found out that my company is cool with me having weird hair, not maybe so much on they're like footing the bill to get me somewhere kind of thing. Like as a representative, maybe don't do stuff like that. So. Even though, I'm speaking this time and the cost to them is less, they're still, flying me there. So yeah. I'll chill out on the hair this time.
This time.
Yeah.
Just maybe some funky hat or something so you stand out, but you can undo the changes quickly.
That would work. I need to go hat shopping.
Fantastic. And so one final point, when would people find your session? What day you on?
I am conference day 2. So it would be Tuesday, May 26th, at 9:30 in Folkets 1.
Brilliant.
I think I pronounced that correctly.
It sounds good enough.
Yeah.
I'm not Swedish, but I'll go for it.
I'm not either. If you couldn't tell by the accent. No.
I was speaking to Tobias. I was calling him Tobias, and I thought best ask, am I saying it right? Is it Tobias? He said, well, actually it's Tobias. I was like, okay.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I thought that's worth knowing.
Sure.
But I think it's doubled my vocabulary from hey, which is what I tend to just go around saying to all the staff there.
Yeah.
Polite. Fantastic. Right, okay, well, if we haven't got anything more, I will look forward to seeing you in May.
All right.
It'll be good catching up, and look after yourself until then.
All right, you too.
Cheers, Erik. All the best.
All right, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.